Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl, your big sis, L Vintage in the building. Listen, stage left. We working it up. We working up. We working up. I'm glad to see everybody tonight. Thank you for tuning in with us. We have something special for you this evening. Listen, we've been rocking out. We've been rocking out episode 3. Listen, we are going to keep going higher and higher. And guess what? We need you all to do so. So, while we keep rocking out, you keep listening and tuning in. I need you to go to Top Class Radio on any one of your social media or streaming devices, right? And download the app. So you can go to your app store on Android, you can go to your app store on Apple, you can go to Google and download Top Class Radio because you can be listening live right from your car, wherever you are. Studio number 609-418-9816. Again, 609-418-9816. We are here live. We have someone special right now tuning in from the southern quarter right here for your listening ears and for that special hint of poet in your bloodstream. None other than Poet Lost Child. Yes, the Poet Lost Child.
What's
Guess
happening,
what?
family?
Guess what? Guess what? He ain't playing either. So, what I want you to do what I want you to do is I want you to go to Facebook, click on the live if you need to see it live, right? I want you to click on the live. I want you to like, share it with the world. Tell them there's a story and a journey abroad right now getting ready to go down. It's getting ready to happen. So we're excited to be here. Los, what's going on, my brother?
I'm making it happen, maintaining best as I can.
Yes. I'm excited that you're here with us. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you.
Nah, thank you. I always support any and every platform that you're on, whether it's a show, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a radio show, whether you just taking a trip down the road and you just need somebody in the passenger seat. I rock with
Hey, see? Listen. Everybody can't get that, okay? Everybody can't get. Let me repeat that. Everybody can't get that. Me and this brother been rocking for a long time. From the first time we met up
you.
until now, it's like, it's that real love and real respect. And every time we hit a stage, every time we go to another state, every time we hit an outside atmosphere, we know we always end up running into each other somewhere
Yeah,
along the way, along the journey. There's Los Child, there is El Vintage, and we listen. When I tell you we tear it up just because we both in the atmosphere, right? So, for those of you that do not know Los, I want you to get to know him right now. First of all, go to his social media and follow him
yeah.
at Poet Los Child.
Right.
Tell him how it's smushed all together, my brother.
It's Lost Child, spelled Lost. Well, most people think it's Lostchild. I just took off the T and Lost, took off the D and Child, and smashed the rest together into one word, Lostchild. Nobody really says the T nor the D anyway, just Lost Child.
There you heard it. There you heard it. Number one in the group. Number one. This is my buddy. This is my brother, y'all. And you're going to hear a little of his journey tonight and hear some of the things that he's been through. I'm humbled and I'm honored to know such a montage. I'm going to say it. Can I say it like that, bro? A
You have it, yes.
montage, a plethora of artists that have such powerful journeys and speak advocately and avidly about what's going on. And this brother right here, not only does he get out there and he speak to the mind of our young brothers, our young kings, and our older kings. But he also speaks to the sisters. That's love. That's real love. And that's what we call in the poets world, bro, you got a fan base. Nah, you got a following, right? Because in order for us to do what we do, many people don't realize that we are exposed. We literally expose who we are right there in front of this stage.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? We put ourselves out there and we just go in. That's because it's a passion in us, but it's also because it's our testimony, it's our journey. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, do me a favor. Let's talk about your journey. Let's talk about the parts that most people really don't know about Lost Child.
Well, that's the weird thing. Like, I know for years, I just assumed the name Lost Child made sense to people. Until I started explaining it to people. I started specifically asking people if they knew what it was, and most people said they never caught the word, what the name was, and what it meant. Like I just said, I'm explaining. Most
Mm,
people think Lost Child, Lostchild, and like, but that's, and I specifically said in the poem that it's not just a name or a title; it's what I actually am, because I was given up for adoption at birth, and 46 years later, I'm still looking for my mother. So that's where the
mm.
name Lost Child came from.
Okay. And so when you talk about adoption, tell us how that journey intricately has been. Let's start from right now, and then we'll travel back to the beginning. You're looking for your birth mother, and it still to no avail. You haven't. Have you gotten close? Have you, gotten any hints as to where she may be?
In 2017, the state of New Jersey changed its adoption laws,
Mm,
to where anybody that had a closed adoption, which is what mine was, closed adoption just meaning there was no contact with the birth parents nor the adoptive parents. They didn't know who they were, each other were. They didn't have each other's names or anything. So of course, when I grew up, there was no information for them to pass on to me because they didn't have any information. So
mm,
I was in 2017, I was in my late 30s. I don't think quite 40, when
mm,
they changed the law that if you were the child of a closed adoption, that now you legally had access to your original birth information, your original birth certificate,
mm,
because the only information that I've ever had has been after adoption forward. So even my legal name is the name that it was changed to once I was adopted, but I don't know anything prior. I hadn't known anything prior to that until 2017. With 2017, I got my original birth certificate. I found the actual adoption agency that handled the adoption, and since then, I've just been on this quest where I have a name now, when I have a
mm,
location, and I have some idea about some things. But even in that, there's still a lot of questions. There's still a lot of unanswered questions. There's still a lot of things that, for whatever reason, people are withholding information still. So I'm still on that quest. But since 2017, prior to 2017, I knew nothing at all. Since then, I've taken DNA tests, and I've actually found, like, my biological father. He passed away in 2004, but at least I know who he is now.
mm.
But I'm still looking for my mother.
Okay. And so, it's interesting that you say, talk about closed adoptions because for all we know that once it is closed, you don't get another opportunity to, you know, uh, um, go through those adoptions, and you don't get an opportunity to go through your files. And for those of us that know something about adoption, you know, the quest is it never ends. You know what I'm saying? I recall DMC DMC was looking for his mother, Daryl, and he had a closed adoption, and it
Mhm.
took him a long time. He's what, almost in his 50s when he found her, and
Yeah.
it's just something that
And it's crazy. He's one of the what do you call it, honorary members of the one of the agencies that handle this part of the handling of actually what my where my adoption was. And I actually reached out to him, and he never responded.
wow,
Because it got to a certain point where, like, at this point, it's just like I'm up against the wall. Like, I've done DNA tests,
right,
two different DNA tests with two different companies, and still haven't turned up with anything. I've reached out to people through the DNA test who said that we were like second and third, fourth generation cousins or whatever, and it's just too far out for them to be able to figure out who possibly she could be. So I've just been reaching out to any and everybody. I mean, even to the point where I was thinking of reaching out to the hospital,
wow,
asking them if they had some information to this, that, the other. So it's just, it's the way the things were set up back in the 70s, it was never intended for us to ever know anything.
wow, wow, and talk to us about the emotional part of that, because
Uh,
when men go through emotions, you know what I'm saying, it's a whole different mindset. And
yeah,
most, if I'm being honest, most women um, don't know how to handle a man and his emotions.
yeah, definitely.
So
It was rough on me when I was a kid,
mm,
because I wasn't allowed to talk about it.
okay.
I didn't even know until I was 12. I was told at 12, and it was just like, yeah, this is what it is. All right, cool. Let's just never bring it up again.
Wow.
So at 12, my world was upside down. I was smashed. Like, I felt like I was just like literally upside down and shaking loose. And then I was not allowed to ask any questions or whatever. So, um, I held it in for years, and I didn't even. I mean, I can think back now and think back into my late teens and throughout my 20s, even my 30s. I was falling apart.
Wow.
Um, and I just thought it was, you know what I mean? I'm from the hood and
Yeah.
situation in the neighborhoods and this, that, and the other, woo, woo, da 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 da. But nah, it was. I just took it as that's normal because I grew up in so much chaos. I mean, we grew up in families with drug addicts and alcoholics and things of that
Mm.
nature. So I just assumed that who I was a product of my environment.
Right.
And it was just that simple. But didn't realize until I want to say these last 2 or 3 years that my particular story was so much deeper and it was so much more pain and hurt that was coming, that was being suppressed. And I didn't even realize it, and how I was treating, especially how I was treating women when I was younger.
Wow.
Like I said again, I just thought it was. I mean, I didn't have a father figure to teach me to find you a nice young woman, settle down, and do the right thing. None of my homeboys had that, so I just felt like what we were doing, we were the blind leading the blind all at the same time, and I just
Mm.
figured that was it. But in recent years, I realized like mental health was something that was passed over, wasn't even acknowledged so much. Some when I was so much younger, and now it's definitely reached a boiling point at this point in my life.
Now, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Um, the family that you were adopted into, were any of them biological family members? Had they said that they were biological or knew your mother personally?
Nah, nobody knew anything.
Wow.
Um, like I said, I was the big secret that people knew about or wasn't allowed to talk about. I mean,
Wow.
even to my face, people. I mean, and I get like the people who I was raised around. I mean, they are family, but biologically, there's no blood link. So I don't. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I just don't get from anybody in this family, and a lot of stuff about me people don't get, because there is no connection, there is no tie.
Wow. 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 And it's interesting that, you know, you're here and you're talking about it, because so many of us, biological or not, so many of us know our older families, our elders, to sweep things under the rug and to keep things at bay, keep them away, because it brings too much turmoil, too much pain. And in that, what I'm hearing you say is that it caused me so much grief and pain just not to hear, or people not to speak, or someone there knew who your mother was. And, for a lot of us, especially when those of us that have Southern born families, the secrets that happened in the family stayed and buried where they began. You,
Right,
you know
right,
what I'm
right.
saying? So, do you actually know where exactly you were born?
Yes, I was born in Teaneck, New Jersey. So I mean, I know
Okay.
that, and that part was never held for me. That was on my birth certificate always.
Okay.
Um, it it didn't say what hospital. Like I never knew what time I was born and what my weight was when I was
Wow.
born, and like the blood type, all that regular stuff that people know. The town was there, and the date. Obviously, they didn't change my birth date,
Wow.
but everything else was changed. Of course, parents' names was changed, and there was no location. So I got all of that. I received all of that information in 2017.
Wow. 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 So, to our listening audience, you're right here, right now, live with Stage Left on Top Class Radio with the poet Lost Child. my brother, talking about his journey, which is it's has some excitement and some pain that still is resonating, and we understand that for a lot of us, and we're going to say being intentional about our personal history, right? So today, our intentions are being intentional about our personal history, our lineage, our bloodline. Can we find out who's here, who's what, and where, and how we became, how we are, and found out who we are, where we are, and it's not that it's not that for the most part we don't have a sense of who we are. We just need the missing pieces. And I'm grateful for my brother to be on speaking about his missing pieces and the pain that comes from those missing pieces, because it's very, very important while we share who we are and where we come from, because guess what? We have children. And speaking of children, let's talk about that real quick. Just a little divert, give you some breathing room, right? Then we'll jump back into it. How is that going on? How you have a daughter,
Yes.
and yes, let's talk about her for a sec.
Yeah. Adana Simone. That's my 21-year-old daughter, my little lady.
Okay.
Um, she's my one and only. And we have an interesting relationship now. We're 21. She's learning a lot of this stuff right along with me.
Mm,
She didn't really know what was going on with me and the family while she when she was younger. It was just like I said, it wasn't talked about even around her because I didn't want to put her in the middle of anything
right.
because like I said, even now at this point, me and the family are still like literally going through it, like where it's just like y'all been lying to me all this time, and I was quiet about it, and
Right.
now I'm finally being vocal and I'm speaking, and,
Right.
and people don't like it. People aren't happy about it.
Mm.
But it ain't about nobody else's happiness at this point.
I know that's right. And how is she right now?
She's cool with it. Like I said, we've had somewhat of an estranged relationship because her mother and I weren't together.
Right.
And her mother lived out of state, so she was with her mother out of state for years. So our relationship was somewhat estranged or whatever. But now that she's grown and I can talk to her as a young adult, she understands what's
Mm.
happening and what's going on. Is that and the other. We're definitely developing our relationship. So, but we're definitely on good terms.
Um, that's awesome. I'm gonna tell you something. Ain't nothing like our babies,
Nah,
you know.
nah, not at all.
And I remember when she was younger, and you were going down to visit, and you were going down to spend time with her, and so it's just, it's, and I do recall a time our conversation was, you keep doing what you do, because when she's older, she's going to appreciate that more, and she's
Yeah,
going to open up to you more. So you keep working at that relationship, because it is important for us, because we got a 20-year-old. He's doing his own thing right now, but
yeah, yeah, definitely.
we're keeping him close to our hearts, just to let him know, like, look, we're here. You need us, we're here. And I think that's at this time and stage in life for them, because it's so different than it was for us. You
Right.
know, um, that with the pandemic and all of that, kind of turned a lot of our kids to a different feeling, or a different mentality. So it's just, just making sure that we're going through our own mental duress, right? And it keeps our hearts warm to know that we still mean something in our children's eyes and in their hearts. So just keep, what I mean, doing what you do, because ain't nothing like a daddy's little girl. She'll always be daddy's girl.
Yeah, definitely.
So going back now, as an adult, and you talked about your childhood, as an adult, what you know now, what might you have done or asked when you were a child that you maybe didn't ask until you were an adult and found out what you did find out and the laws had been changed?
Even prior to the laws being changed, I definitely felt like I still feel like there should have been a whole lot more conversation.
Mm,
Like I wasn't even allowed to ask. Like after the initial conversation where I was told, I literally there was no more conversation. Like I said, I was 12 years old. I don't think I brought it back up until I was like 27, 28. So I just sat on it for years. So like some of my friends knew. But as far as like going back to the parents or family members and asking them what was going on,
mm-hmm.
I sat on it for years and I realize now how detrimental that was to my mental um health and well being. Um it's a lot of things that I thought about myself. I just thought I was weird or quirky or weak or strange to the
Mm-hmm.
point where at some point I started almost telling myself that I was crazy. And I'm like, nah, this can't be. But it was it's like I can't be crazy if I'm thinking it. Am I really crazy? Because if you was crazy, you wouldn't be able to tell yourself that you're crazy.
Mm,
Like so, but the fact that I was having those thoughts repeatedly over and over and over throughout the years, I'm like, all right, something is definitely wrong. And I think a lot of that could have been eliminated had I been able to ask simple questions when I was 13, 14, 15 years old.
right, right, right. And um, maybe asking some of those questions where you do you think maybe you were afraid or confrontation? Because in the back of our minds, we're like, I don't want to mess this up because this is where I got to come home and sleep and eat and.
I mean, it was kind of. I don't really think I was looking at it like that. I was just not even in relation to the adoption. I wasn't allowed to talk about anything.
Mm,
It was one of those households where kids would be seen and not heard.
wow.
Um, don't speak unless spoken to.
Mm-hmm.
So and there was nobody my age. So everybody was an adult, even my cousins. They were all 10 years plus older than me. So everybody's an adult. So who can I go to ask a question? Because nobody's mentioning it around me.
Mm,
So I never had that space to feel comfortable enough with anybody in the family to be like, yo, such and such is going on, or yo, I got some questions, or whatever, whatever. So
wow.
it was unnecessarily ill.
Mm, mm. And who, like when you talk about this now, who by far out of your adoptive family are you the closest to, and possibly still close, that maybe you don't have, you can get that information, or it's coming, or maybe not, who is that go-to
Nobody.
person? Nobody.
Like I said, now even that I'm definitely more vocal about it now. People are
Mm,
looking at me sideways and like I'm the bad guy because I'm ruffling I'm roughing up the seas now after all
yeah.
these years. Things been smooth and quiet and ain't nobody been saying that. I'm supposed to just keep on not saying anything like everybody else has been doing throughout my entire life, which I think is retarded. It's crazy.
Wow. Wow. Well, first of all, let me just say this, okay? Let me reaffirm, my brother. You are beautiful. You are kind. You are intelligent. You are important. You are very
I
important
appreciate
to my
I
world
appreciate it.
and to the world around us. Your voice is powerful. What you believe and stand for is powerful. And I too, I understand that. I understand exactly what you're going through and how, you know, those feelings make you feel like the world is uneasy for you. It's rough, it's turbulent, and I'm definitely praying that you do find out where your mother is. I'm praying that she's still walking this earth and that she wants to see you with open arms just as much as you want to see her. And I know the questions, right? Because we have the emotion and the questions. And sometimes it's not as easy to ask those questions, but you do have them. You know what I'm saying? So
Right, right.
don't hesitate to ask those questions. You know
Oh
what I
no, I
mean?
mean, I'm to the point where it's almost being disrespectful now. Like I say what I want to say now because I held it in for so long, and even in anything being disrespectful or whatever people see it as, I'm like, if it was addressed 30 years ago, it wouldn't be
Wow.
as hard as it is now. So I don't, like I said, I've lost care for how anybody feel about it because the way I feel about it, ain't nobody ever care about me.
Wow.
Nobody cared about the fact that one day this baby's gonna grow up and he's going to want to know something.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you the way I explain it, I look at my life now is like broken concrete.
Mm.
Like concrete is malleable when before it sets, but once it's set, it is what it is. Now you want to start making changes, you got to break it and smash it, which is you take a hammer to concrete. Ain't nothing pretty about that. You know
Mm-mm.
what I mean? And once it's broken down, it's jagged and it's sharp and it's nothing pretty about it. I mean, and that's what it is right now. So yes, it's gonna hurt some people. Yes, it's gonna be loud. Yes, some people not gonna like it. But at this point,
Absolutely.
I have nothing else. This is all I can do because, and this is whatever it is. This is what y'all created in me. Because if this was addressed, like I said, 30 years ago, I wouldn't be in this situation now to be whatever it is people see me as.
Wow. Right. Absolutely. And what avenues other than you said earlier you said that you looked up what hospitals possibly may have been there. Have you looked through any other services other than um the adoption service that has been there? Um and other than like the hospitals at the time that were there.
Yeah, I mean, I found once I found the hospital, I just hopped in my car and drove to the hospital. This was back in the day.
Mm,
I went to the hospital and told them. I think this was actually before 2017. I don't remember exactly what year it was. I figured I know the township, Teaneck, New Jersey. I'm like, how many hospitals can be in Teaneck? So I
right.
just got in my car and drove to Teaneck, and I found the hospital, which is the only hospital in Teaneck. I explained to them what I was looking for, and they said if it was that long ago, your records would be down at the state hall of records in Trenton. So I went down there, and that's when they told me that everything was locked up, and unless you had a court order, if you had a medical condition, or this,
Wow.
that, and the other, through some sort of legal agreement, you couldn't get access to it. So that was prior to 2017. Once 2017 came, I got my information. There's actually an address, a house address in Teaneck. I just went to the
Uh-huh.
house and knocked on the door. Um, older gentleman answered the door. I explained to him who I was and why I was there, and he
Right.
explained to me that he bought the house in the '80s. So he didn't, but he knew of the family that he purchased the house from.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me their name. I went on like Facebook, pulled up some people. I found two guys who went to high school in Teaneck. It seemed like they would have been in that area around that time, and I've been hitting these dudes up in the inbox and on Facebook relentlessly over the last few years, and they never responded.
Wow.
Um, like I said, I found the agency that handled the adoption, and it's like they sent me some information, and then it was just like this ridiculous amount of money that they said if I sent them, that they would do some more research and try to find out some stuff. But um, like I said, I've taken two DNA tests. Like I said, I've searched all over the internet with the name that I do have for my mother. It's just like I've tried. Like I said, I've hit
Mm.
before, but I've tried every avenue that I could think of to reach out to, and just hadn't gotten anything back in response.
Wow. Wow. So I'm gonna solicit for you real quick. If anybody out there in our world, our social media world, has any type of assistance and help for our brother who needs us, right? I want you to reach out to him. Please reach out to him because this is something that you don't go to sleep on. This is something that you're moving tirelessly doing. And when you have a call, this is what I consider a mayday call. Because we've been talking about this for a while, bro. We've been talking about this for
Yeah,
a long time, and it's time. You need some closure. And so, my hope and my prayer is in that we can assist you in any way we can. Listen, you know me, you know my mouth.
yeah, definitely.
So, and I just want you to know you're not alone in this fight, and that you have a family that's willing to push forward and help you find what it is you need to find. And I know sometimes these journeys are we rather take them alone, but sometimes those ghosts in the closet, they're spooky, and they're painful, and this is when your support system has to open up and help you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I'm here for you. You know your big sis is here. I got you covered.
appreciate it, definitely.
Now, what I need you to do, right? Because see, the world needs a Los Child. The world needs your voice, right? And I'm a fan. So will you do me a favor and spit one real, real Los? get up for us right here and right now on Stage Left and Top Class Radio.
Oh yeah, I mean, I do the one I kind of was explaining it earlier in the beginning, just my name. Like most of the time when people hear my name, Lost Child, they think Lost, Lost Child, Child. But what I did is took off the T and Lost, took off the D and Child, and smashed the rest together into one word, Lostchild. Because see, I'm descended from that, which I know not directly, but my complexion and hair texture point me in an undeniable direction connected with my demographic section, perfecting the pattern of manhood manufactured by man who actually knew what it meant to be man, far from perfect in relation to salvation and sin, but grounded on that foundation laid for us way back when, like back when a man would make a child and then stick around to see that child growing and nurtured with a strong hand, so right from wrong, the child will know. But currently, there seems to be some common misconceptions about us men of color, characterized by these clowns on TV. That which we see as detrimental in our own eyes, likened to the lies laid out for our own demise at some point somewhere. We've got to sever these ties, like try unplugging the TV, maybe changing the radio station, because reality TV can't be
Mm.
reflective of the future that we're facing, erasing our royal lineage passed down from generation to generation through the words that's spoken and the stories that's told. And well, I choose to hold fast to these truths, which are self-evident, and we as the people have evidently been led to forget. Let someone else tell us who we are and how we're supposed to dress, how we're supposed to talk, and how we're supposed to walk in the ways of wayward man. While I stand here today before my peers, before my elders, but especially before those not quite as advanced in their years, as a voice for something, damn near anything, just different, because I'm lost. Peace.
Mm, mm. I'm telling y'all right now, right? Y'all have no idea the magnitude of earthquake that comes from this brother. He is an artist. He is Lost Child. He is my brother. And if you haven't heard him before, you just heard him now. You've been blessed. Listen, bro, I can't wait till we get off this phone because I'm gonna call you as soon as I get done. Right? Because you already know we always got work. And there's something that I still have of yours that I definitely need to make sure you get back. So
Okay.
with that being said, we thank you so much for taking the time out to just spend time with us on air, Top Class Radio, Stage Left with your big sis, L Vintage. We always got work and there's always love. So I thank you. I'm humble. Listen, we in the background going crazy because that verbiage was just ridiculous. You know what I mean? My guy is back here just like, yo.
I thank you, man. I definitely thank y'all because, like I realize more and more, like the poetry community, I just want to say in 10 years,
Yeah.
um, people like you specifically
Come through.
mean more to me than people that I've known my entire life.
Wow.
So it's what's up. I appreciate it.
Listen, man. Oh my God, stop, because you about to make me start crying. Cut it out. Because you know
Girl,
how I
you know
feel
that's how
about
we
you.
do.
You know how I feel about you. You know I go bare knuckle, but
Yeah,
and that's love. That's love. And we're gonna continue to
absolutely.
keep rocking and showing that
Definitely.
respect and that love because I need you like you need me. We listen, this is what we do. So everybody out there, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening in. Brother, stay put. Don't hang up. Okay? I love you. Hold that thought. Everybody else, we out. Stage
Peace.
Left, Top Class Radio. Go download the app. Don't play. I see y'all when I